Welcome back. I knit this up, or I cast this on with the long tail cast on method, as so, right? So this is my last cast on stitch, and as I cast on, it worked its way around this circular needle. Ooh, and it did start to twist, so this is a great example for, you just want to make sure that your cast on edge is facing the same direction, or inward is easy to remember, because if it gets twisted, it will create a twist in your work, so it'll end up being like, like that. So we're joining in the round. We just cast on our last long tail, but I think this works for other cast on methods as well. So what we're going to do is now we are going to take our last cast on stitch and what was our first cast on stitch, and we're going to join in the round by going. So I like to slip mine purlwise, but I think you can do it knitwise too. I personally just like it purlwise. So I slipped it from the left needle straight over to the right needle. And now I'm going to take what was our first cast on stitch and I'm going to lift it up and over. I'm going to pin the stitch that we just slipped with my finger, and I'm going to take that cast on stitch, and as if to bind off, I'm going to slip it off the right needle, but I'm not going to let it fall off the needles entirely. I'm going to slip it over to this left needle. I'm going to scoot these a little bit. So now I've just joined. That's it. That's all it is. Well, this is one way. There's other ways, I'm sure. And now I'm going to put a stitch marker to mark the beginning of my row. I'm just going to pop this on here for now because whatever. Okay, that's my last. Now this is marking my last stitch. All right, working yarn, where are you? That's the tail. Okay. So now I'm going to knit this stitch, first of my row, and that's it. Look at that. And so you'll see that once you've joined in the round, you're like, oh, there's a strand. There's only one strand in between. Yeah, that's totally normal. Yeah, and then you just keep going with your pattern. So if you were gonna do a 1 by 1, you purl the next one like that, and so on and so forth. But again, you want to make sure that your stitches are all your cast on stitches are all facing the same direction. It's especially tricky in this first. Actually, now that it's joined, I'm not sure if it would keep doing that, but I don't know. I know the first couple of rows are just harder to keep track. And then once you start having more, more rows on there, it's easier to see, which direction the stitches are supposed to be facing. So you just kind of keep them, downward. And that's that. So there you go. Okay, so one more time. I just did my last cast on. There's one more just for showing you. Okay, so that was my last cast on stitch. All of my stitches are facing inward, so I know they're all the same direction. This was my very first cast on stitch that had worked its way around these circulars, and now I'm ready to join in the round. So I'm going to slip my last cast on off of the left needle onto the right. I chose to slip it purlwise because that's my preference. And then I'm going to take what was my first cast on stitch, up and over, there we go, up and over the stitch that we had just slipped. I'm going to slide it off of the right needle, but I'm going to keep it on the left needle and then reposition. There we go. And then I'm going to put a stitch marker to mark the end of my row, or the beginning of your row if you want to put one on your actual needle that fits. And I'm going to knit this like normal if I have working yarn. Ooh, okay. All right, ready? Here we go. Knit. Ta-da! We did it. And then you just keep going from there, whatever your pattern is. Knit, knit, knit. Be careful not to stitch your, oh my gosh, Sarah. Be careful not to twist your stitches around these needles in the first few rows, and then after that it's easier to keep track, but you just want to make sure your cast on edge is always facing the same direction. And this is normal, just like one strand between, and then you keep going. And that's that. Hope that helps.